to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Mattrix, and Whisperer.
Yes, we are live. Welcome back to the Insight NRL Show. We're talking all things week 2 from the Preseason Challenge. That's all done and dusted now, and there's plenty to talk about, and we'll cover it all. I'm your host, the SC Brain, SC Mattrix, SC Whisperer. With me, Josh. How are you going, mate? We had a pretty big weekend of football and an added little World Club Challenge game to watch this morning.
Absolutely. I didn't have waking up at 6 a.m. on a really nice Sunday to watch two teams I don't care about on my bucket list, but it was a good game to watch apart from the refereeing. But yeah, good weekend of footy. We're into the home stretch now. So yeah, really, really big week ahead. And
Matrix, you would have, obviously your Broncos are on a plane or probably in Vegas by now. So you got to watch the reserve grade team run out. Did you watch much of it?
I mean, we are the preseason champs, preseason challenge champs. I tell you what, that 100K is going to go a long way for one of the richest clubs in the competition. But look, we rolled out the reserve grade team and went all right. Corey Pax looked like a man among boys there for a while.
I will make it known that every every preseason challenge winner has gone on to miss the semis that year. So
I'd like to. I mean, I can have a little bet with you if you want to know if you want to bet against the Broncos making the semis.
You said that the 100K will go very far. You realize that your team is on a plane to Vegas. I think it may last a night or two.
That's generous.
Yeah. I hope they give it to the kids. I hope they give it to the people that were. I'm not meaning the kids of Brisbane. I mean the people that played footy on the weekend because I'd heard of about 3 of them.
Same.
Deloise Twitter, 100K straight to his bank account.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, before we jump into things, the show is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze and Rye from Astute Newstead. Make sure to drop your questions in. We know we're going to get a ton. We will do our best to cover as many of them as possible that come through in the live. So chuck them in there and let us know how your team's shaping up and whether you have any questions for TLT that is not far away. And I'm fucking very nervous about it. I'll give you the red hot tip. Guys, hit subscribe and like as well if you haven't already. If you're new to the show, welcome. Hit that little button underneath and show your support, and then you'll get a little notification that says we're going live or we've got a new video up, and you won't miss another one ever again. Now, the free league code is 777141. That's our unlimited league for Insight. SC Champions ring goes to the winner, and an $80 prize pack from the Standard Squeeze goes to the top scorer every single week. So thanks to those guys for supporting the show. We've got some questions coming in, which is great, so keep them coming, and we'll cover them all at the end of the show. We won't kind of chop them up through the middle unless it's relevant to what we're talking about. But unfortunately, there were a few injuries this week, so let's cover those. Not quite a broken leg, but Taruva, bit of a knee stiffness. He went down and kind of had a bit of a knee in the ground kind of contact injury there. And NRL physio said PCL potentially from last year and seems to be a bit stiff, Josh, from last year, but not really much to worry about with Taruva potentially.
Yeah, just a re-aggravation of what he did last year, but all the talk is he should be sweet for round 1, which puts a big dent in our Paul Alamotti plans that Mattrix presented to us at the very start of December. But while we are talking about the World Club Challenge, I just want to give our mate SA Brain a bit of a shout out. We were all on the Taylor May right centre bandwagon, but mate, on the money, left centre lined up.
Yeah. You know, I just had a text message from Ivan last week, and he gave me the tip off. So don't expect any more tip offs though, because that's a blatant lie. But no, I think it's just more Tungo playing right centre last year at the back end of the year. I think maybe that was just a tip off that maybe he'd want to stay there. But look, it's great for us as Taylor May owners because we prefer him on the left, wouldn't we? It seems to be the dominant side for most teams to go from right to left.
Yeah, I think left wing is the gold mine just because we saw how involved those back three were with the kicks. But I mean, yeah, we'll touch on his game when we get to the World Club Challenge, but he was exceptional for his first game back in nearly 15 months. So longer than that,
Very
actually
good.
would have been nearly 16 months. So really, really good. From the Sharks, Braden Hamlin-Uele looked like he picked up a bit of a knee knock and could be out for multiple weeks. So, the likes of Cam McInnes, Royce Hunt, Toby Rudolph, all those guys sort of go up. We'll touch on those stocks soon. Unfortunately, Jacob Little, we were all on the bandwagon for the first half.
The Discord was pumping. Everyone thinking Little was going to be the next Messiah. Everyone's like, oh, can we actually, is this a relevant option? Is he going to play 80 minutes?
You were thinking he was the next Messiah. I'm in your group, Cats.
I definitely poured some gasoline on that fire, and then it's only to see him. I think because the stat was something like when he played 70 plus minutes, he averaged like 64, which is unreal. But yeah, potentially going for scans on his hamstring. If it's a minor strain 2 to 4 weeks, there was already concerns over Mulholland playing a little bit off the bench. They seem to love him. Jesse Marshke was also there as well, but I probably can't go there with the split TLT. You want to have a bit more flexibility if, shit does pop up and you don't want to have a 400k hooker there and you're stuck with them that you need to move off. So probably just let him go through to the keeper.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. Mattrix, we've got two, I won't say confirmed ACLs, but potential ACLs, unfortunately. It looks like the season could be over for Cohen Hess and Tom Gilbert, which is disappointing for them, but might open some doors Supercoach-wise for us. What are your thoughts on these two?
Yeah, look, disappointing. Gilbert has to just be one of the best blokes that just is on a terrible run at the moment. As a Queensland fan and just a fan of footy in general, was hit me right in the feels, that one. Cohen Hess, I suppose it's still to come out whether it's an ACL, but it didn't look good. I suppose who benefits from this going forward? I suppose you'll have to have a chat to Uncle Wayne, but I'd love to see a Ray Stone duel or something again.
Oh, hooker 2RF duel? Sign me up. I was calling him.
Didn't know how good we had it.
I was calling him Ray Mustone last year. He was like 240k, popped out a 40 average, which was nice. But we'll talk on that because there's been a little bit of Flegler chat. And lastly, Charles Nickel-Klukstar obviously got that hemi/back issue. There's mixed reports saying round 1. There's other reports saying round 4, round 5. I know it doesn't really change anything for RTS. Webster's come out and confirmed he's going to be playing left center no matter what happens. But Tuapiki could become an option. He's 277k, center wing and fullback dual, which is nice. You may only get the 1 or 2 price rises out of him, but then the question becomes, is that enough with how little cheapies we have? And I think it is, especially with how well someone like Ethan Strange played today. There's a world where you could run Tuapiki for the first 3 weeks and then flip to a Strange. But we'll touch on that afterwards.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking points here and a lot of moving parts, and we'll do our best to touch on all of those. But let's rip into the games that have gone this weekend. So, first one we can skip over. Not really Supercoach relevant. Roosters 46, Souths 10. I mean, they rolled out basically their Reggies, which is understandable considering they're on a plane or they're already in Vegas getting prepared for the weekend. So we can move through that one. Sharks 12, Bulldogs 6 was a bit of a bludger of a game. And in a game that was so Supercoach relevant, I reckon there was a lot going on here that we were watching. It was a little bit of a disappointing outing, I guess, Mattrix, wasn't it, to get things started? Is there anybody on your Supercoach watch list here that went up in stock?
Oh, actually, nobody went up in stock from this. Maybe the fish, if we want to talk about the fish, because I think as
salmon.
Yeah, the more that we talk about the fish, the less I am currently interested in Curran.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, the question mark now, isn't it? Because it just seems like Salmon, Curran, Man, like those 3 guys just shared the one role there. Josh, are there any concerns? Is it? I think I saw something you put up on X saying that Curran's still an option, and I tend to agree with you. He looked great off the bench. It all just depends on how many minutes he's going to get and what his role looks like.
Yeah, so I don't really pay attention to minutes because there's a lot of moving parts and interchanges don't get announced, but I knew this game would be very relevant. So I did document the minutes for people. So Max King played 23 and 23, so a 46-minute overall. Sam Hughes played 17 and nothing. Josh Curran played 25 and nothing. The Fish played 28 and 12. Kurt Mann played 12 and 28. So those two basically had that rotation. Policy Farmer Sully played 15, 17, and then 3 came on right at the back end for a total of 35 minutes. And Marnie played 40 plus 19, so 59 minutes for Money. Look, I'm pretty happy just to double everyone's workload. So Hughes 17 times 2, 35. Curran 50 minutes. Salmon probably 45, 50. Man is whatever. Farmasuli probably is 25, 30. Like, it's not great, and it probably dents. Like, we're not saying Sam Hughes is not known, but it probably just dents the front row forward 2 discussion. Just for me, anyway. As for Josh Curran, yeah, looked really good. He scored. I have the scores here. So Josh Curran scored 52. That was with a try assist and a line break assist, but still scored 32 in 25 minutes, which is fine. Like, if he's playing 50 minutes through the middle, I think he's gonna average 55. It's not quite the heights of what we wanted, but definitely still presents some value.
Yeah, everyone was hoping for this 60-minute starting lock, Josh Curran, and we haven't got that. But I don't know whether his scoring is going to take too much of a hit. I think he's going to play a similar. He's going to have similar output. It's just going to be a little bit of a different role than what we expected. We spoke about this with Terrell May, and like the psychology of just getting over your player's number not being 1 to 13. I think he'll be fine, especially if they start Farmasuli. Like, if they're just going to have Farmasuli as a starter to take the impact out, like, you're fine with it. Max King, 44 and 46 minutes. Are we concerned a little bit, or just a hit out? Nah, I'm not concerned at all. I think he's still a great option. You look at 46 minutes, it's a trial. Like, we put a fair bit of stock into these trials, but at the end of the day, these coaches are just going to want to see what they want to see. And they probably saw enough from him. 2 23-minute stints. I don't know about you guys, but it was 34 degrees the other day here in Sydney. Like, for the most part, these games, you're going to get less impact from these forwards initially in trials. They're not going to put them out there for 60 minutes or 55 minutes at prop in 30 degrees scorching heat. So I'm not overly concerned with that. I think King's still a great option if you can get to him. Boys, the Trindle. Do I run Trindle at second halfback? Seems to be, and maybe could we call it debunked, Matt? 15 Supercoach points, no Nico there, so he was the guy in this game, and he didn't really deliver.
You guys really know my thoughts on Trindle. I've probably talked way too much about Trindle off air, but yeah, I just don't think that he's that good. I think, like, when it actually comes down to it, he'll be a passenger in Nico's world. We're just all living in it. Like, it's fine in a All-Stars game, which was a glorified trial and a great thing in itself, but that's all it is. Like, it's just another trial game that was happening, and he looked really good. Look, he's not Supercoach relevant in any way, shape, or form, and I think that you really need to take a good, long, hard look at your lineup if you're starting Trindle.
You said that it was debunked due to this guy. I think it was debunked when the app opened. Like, Mattrix and I have not been keen on Trindle one bit whatsoever. From the back line, I mean, Talakai and Ramian both were not good. I thought Kale Iro had a really good game this week, much better than what he had last week. We saw Teague Wilton back to his sort of line running best. He was very popular last year, and obviously had his season taken away through injury. But I do want to talk about Cam McInnes, because it looks like he was playing a little bit of hooker. There was some talk on the radio that he was training more at hooker this year. So is Brayley, like the 8-minute Brayley, sort of not on the cards? And if McInnes is playing a little bit of 9, does that boost his stocks? He is, mid 500s, which is pretty expensive. But, if he's pumping out 60, 65 minutes, he'll be named as co-captain this year as well. Like, is there any love for McInnes over someone like a Cotter? I know they're, picked in different positions, but if you're paying, say, 400 for a Satili Supernua and a 550 for a Cotter, or would you rather pay 550 for a McInnes and like a, 400 for May?
Cam McInnes from last year is a bit of our love child, isn't he, Matt? Like, we just loved everything about Cam McInnes. As soon as we saw him named in the 13, and there was a few games there in the middle of the season where he played near on 80 minutes. He broke the tackle record in one of those games last year. Cam McInnes is a weapon. He's a gun. if he gets the minutes. That's the question mark. We know that it's not going to be pretty. We know that there's not going to be a lot of attacking stats, but the bloke just works his ass off in the middle of the field. He'll take his runs. He'll make 60 tackles. If he gets the role, I'd definitely say he's an option. The only thing deterring me at the moment is the price at $5.99. Like we're basically paying $600K for Cam McInnes. So you're going to need 59 to cover that. And I don't know. I just feel like I'd rather spend in that 400s Mattrix and maybe get the upside of a Highland Lukey or someone like that.
You know, on my wish list is that, yes, they tried Cam McInnes at hooker a lot more in these trials so that he walks in, gets a hooker duel, and I just set and forget the whole fucking year, baby. Like, oh, that would just be a world I want to live in. It's not going to happen. But if he is playing these, what are we thinking, 10, 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes and give Brayley a rest, and he gets that hooker duel, like, tell me you're not wanting to finish the year with him as your second hooker.
Oh, if he gets a hooker duel, absolutely. But I just don't know whether he does. I don't know whether he covers enough minutes. I feel like maybe it's a 10-minute stint to give Blake Brayley a rest. I think that's kind of all it'll be. I don't know whether it'll be any more. If it is, fuck yeah, I'm on board. I love that. But if it's going to be Brayley playing 80 minutes pretty much his whole career, and then, like, what are they just going to drop him to be a 60-minute guy now? That won't happen.
That is the trend. Like, they just seem to, like, these coaches don't seem to value the 80-minute hooker that much anymore.
Yeah, you are right.
I want to talk about a man who won't play 80 minutes, and that's Royce Hunt, priced at $333K. Scored a 41 in this game, which, yeah, sure. But with the news that Hamlin ULA is out, look, Hunt has always struggled for minutes. He doesn't have a huge motor. But, you know, he only averaged 25 minutes a game last year, priced at 33. In games over 30 minutes, he's actually been, like, not elite, but very, very good. So in games over 30 minutes last year, he went 39, 60, 70, 41. And then the year before that, he went on some kind of historical run at the end of the season. 82, 97, 45, 55. He's got an amazing PPM. Like, historically, over the last 4 years, it's been 1.3, which is immense. I don't expect him to be playing big minutes, but if Royce Hunt can get a 30-minute role, especially with Hamlin ULA out, for $333K, if he's getting you 45 points, 42, 43 points, man, like, that's intriguing for me. Like, I know it's a bit of a punt, especially with them not running a backup hooker that most teams run. But still, like, 30 minutes, 35 minutes for Royce Hunt is really, really intriguing.
Yeah, it's the Terrell May effect, isn't it? Like, he's starting, which is even better. But can he get the 30, 35 minutes? And with Braden Hamlin-Uele going down, there's definitely now a chance. We can see a path to minutes now for Royce Hunt being relevant. And you're right, we only need to see potentially 45 or 40 to even be relevant. What's he priced at 32? So if he gets you a 45 priced at 32, it's 13 points of upside. You move him on to one of these either fallen front row forwards that don't start the season well, or you can kind of go to the next option that kind of rose in price alongside him. So I like it.
And a 45 is only 34 minutes for him as well. So it's not like you're asking for, you know, it's not like a Tom Flegler where you're asking for 50, 60 minutes to become 10 points of value. We only need 34 minutes out of Royce Hunt, and yeah, genuinely considering it. Much prefer him over Spencer Leniu, who was the same price. And yeah, I think he could, like, and would you rather spend the extra 60K and get him over Willison?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I mean, Willison, the minutes maybe not there. What does he get? 20, 25 max, which gets him, 35? So you maybe 10 points of upside for both. But I feel like maybe with Royce Hunt starting and with BHU going down, maybe there's more relevance there for Royce Hunt. I probably would spend up, to be honest. It's just an awkward position, front row forward this year, isn't it? It's one of those ones where you look at it and you go, I can't find one option that I like that isn't less than 550K.
Yeah, I just think, like, you're talking about that 60K there. Like, when you can spend that 60K in your center wing and get, you know, maybe one of these, a Kane Bradley or a Leia Tua, which have all these question marks about them, nearly all the way up to a Bostock, or you can get a Curran that has all these question marks about him and get him up to like a Lukey or a Firma. I just think that 60K is better spent elsewhere other than front row forward at the moment.
That's fair. That's fair. We are getting a couple of questions just about dual positions. Dual positions will be added tomorrow, guys. Tom Sangster came out and said that all the dual positions will be added and all the players that aren't in the game will be, topped up. And then it's round 6, round 12, and round 18. That's when all your dual positions for the season get updated. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that before we move into the... Yeah, do we have anything else? On this game?
Bronson Xerri?
Yeah, Bronson
Xerri's... Yeah, he was good. His workload was good. I actually more impressed by seeing him taking those hard runs out of his own end. His workload was huge. He took a lot of runs, I think 150 odd meters. I was impressed. It's more just a matter of, okay, let me ask you this. When we look at the center wing and there are so many spots that we're looking at that going, do they even win that spot? Anybody sub 300K, there's not really much certainty around that price range. 345K for him. If he starts in round 1 and it looks like he's locked down that center spot, is he a go? Do we just lock him in and just hope for the best? Do we pay an extra 30 to go from Salmon to Xerri?
No, I'd probably just spend the extra 30 and go from Bostock to Xerri, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Bostock scored 2 tries and had a line break during the trials and scored a 41 and a 42. So not great. And
lots of reliance on attacking stats.
Tessie New is no playmaker by any means. So it's, I actually don't mind just spending up and getting Xerri if you have the money.
And
it's a problem. A lot of us don't.
One more I've seen in a lot of teams, 15% owned at the moment, is Drew Hutchison. I know he's a halfback playing center wing, but do we really think he's going to, average 45? Is Xerri just a better shout for the same price?
I have mixed feelings on Hutchison now.
He scored 28 high on him initially. 28 with a line break, boys.
The base wasn't there, obviously. But no. How good are the Bulldogs going to be again? That becomes the question mark. We saw Burton take over a little bit more. His running game was quite good, Burton, the other night, I thought anyway. Hutchison seemed to had more errors in him this game. Maybe he thought he could do a little bit more, so maybe he was overplaying his hand a little bit.
Also, there was some reports that Stephen Crichton was supposed to be playing fullback this season, but had a quad injury that sort of hampered his preseason a little bit, which stopped the training at fullback because obviously it requires more work than playing centre. So Stephen Crichton to fullback could definitely be on the cards by sort of round 8, round 9, which could be enticing.
Or it should be by round 1 because let's be fair to Blake Taff, he was bloody ordinary the other night. Is it just maybe is there panic stations there for the Bulldogs? Surely they've got to look at this and go, look, we need to play our best player in one of the most important positions.
What's the best case for the Bulldogs? 11th? Is there any need to rush Crichton to play fullback? Just suck and be content with sucking until everything gels.
Yeah.
That's a fair argument.
You know how Matt Burton's running game was really good? That is true because he's a centre.
Yeah. And we've said this. We said this last year, that he was not the right guy to play in that role, especially when they moved him to halfback and they wanted him to create more. It just didn't work. And yeah.
Boys, Crichton a fullback, Burton left centre, Sexton, Hutchinson, 6 and 7.
Oh, get Sexton on.
Sexton, Hutchinson, 6 and 7, Burton left centre, Crichton fullback. Sweet.
Let Hutchison run the ball a little bit more, which naturally he does a lot better. I'm all for it. I'm sure.
Well, Sexton's the best half in the club, and he's sitting in reserve grade. So
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Let's see how TLT goes. Anyway, you never know. You might throw a few.
Well, I don't know. You and I are praying for a Hutchinson naming because we want free beer.
We do want free beer. We do. Guys, let's talk about the Insight Fantasy Sports Supercoach World Cup. It's making waves across the Supercoach community at the moment, and I'm sure that at some point or another, you've wondered whether you're the best Supercoacher out there. We're not just talking about NRL either. We're talking about 4 Supercoach sports, so NRL, BBL, AFL, and NBL. Now, for the first time ever, we're going to find out who the best is of the world. So the Supercoach World Cup is here. Over the next 12 months, we're going to be taking a tally of your rank, and that's going to be counted as a percentage of total players across all 4 sports. And it only costs you $10 to enter. It's not really going to cost you anything. $10 is nothing. Bloody expensive coffee in Bondi or What is it? A zinger combo? No extra burger on this one.
No.
You don't even need to buy the extra burger. It's just a zinger combo. So next to nothing. The top 10 players are going to be paid out at the end of the NBL season in 2025 when that wraps up as well. So how to join? Simply join the Discord and you'll see everything that you need to know in there to get signed up. Now, let's move on to the Storm and the Knights. Storm 28 beat the Knights 10. Now, the one talking point here becomes people panicking about Harry Grant. The guy scored a try and a line break and it got 62, which doesn't blow me out of the water by any means. It doesn't really make me say Harry Grant is a must-have. But everybody starts to panic.
It blows me out of the water considering he only played 40 minutes. That's
don't care.
33 points in 40 minutes. Like, it's not the fact that Harry Grant is a must. It's just everyone else sucks. Everyone else. Like, I was very much anti, we can just get 50 points from our hooker. But there's a couple of guys in my team where I'm saying to myself, I'm happy with 50 from them. And how many of those guys can I be happy with until it just drives me insane? I shave my head from, tilt.
Just go
I don't know. Harry looks... Yeah, literally. That'll be me in, round 4 when half my team gets dropped. I think Harry looks really good. And, the try, the 68, whatever. He played 40 minutes, was running really well. And if he's getting 33 points in 40 minutes in the middle of Suva or Nandi or wherever they played, and it's 4,000 degrees, what can he do on a Saturday night in 15-degree Melbourne weather?
He's the best hooker option hands down by a country mile. We know that.
Well, the gap between him and JMK this week, these trials, JMK has not been impressive, these two trials, and the gap now is just widening even more.
Yep. For sure. And you've spoken about this a fair bit through the pod this year so far, this preseason, where the gap between a Grant and a Coruscant, let's just say, for instance, right? Let's say that's 10 to 15 points between that price in 200K. The gap between a player or two players around the same price point of those two guys in center wing is going to be much bigger. So for me, I don't know, Mattrix, what are you thinking with hooker at the moment? Is it still just Coruscant and just, you fade Grant to start the season and hope you pick him up later?
Yeah, I think it is. I nearly wanted to turn it off watching Coruscant on the weekend, maybe. But I sit there at hooker and filter by hooker, and I don't like any of them. All these 80-minute hookers seem to be getting diminished minutes wise. Maybe we have a bit more of an idea. I know what I'm going to get from an Appy. I don't know what I'm going to get from a Harry Grant every week. I know that sometimes it's going to be magical, at risk of sounding like a massive Harry Potter fan. But sometimes it's just going to be amazing and he's going to score 144 and no other hooker can do that. But yeah, sometimes I think you're going to get your 40 from Harry Grant and it's going to ruin your week. I think the extra points from Appy at goal kicker is a better way to go that way. And I was a JMK truther. I've always been looking for a way to not get Harry Grant, but JMK looks dog shit. Robson burnt me last year. It's Harry Grant or Appy or just tank it.
Is that a viable option this year, Josh? Just don't worry about hooker. You could potentially pick Grant and then just who cares about your bench hooker? Because the question mark becomes, if this Hands and Lussick job share kicks in and Brad Arthur ruins our lives and names both of them, how do we approach it then? Do we need Harry Grant if we have literally no cheap bench hooker option?
Well, that's the thing. Would you rather minute split for Hands and Lussick for 350K each, or would you rather a minute split for Levi and Starling and Levi's 219K? I'd rather just take Levi in that instance. Yeah. And if that happens, then Grant becomes pretty much a must-have because of how fucked the position is. And that's the thing. I've been pretty not anti-Grant, but I've always been we can do more with the money. But as we get closer and closer to the season, nothing is really enticing me. We still suck. We as in the Tigers, we still suck. We can't score a try to save ourselves. And Appy looked promising at times because we are still looking for that short. That's all that's all we have to offer. We only have the short ball, and Appy will benefit off that. I think he played something like 55, 60 minutes this game, scored 30 against the Dragons, who unfortunately were my tip for the Spoon. I think the Spoon comes out of that game. It's not the Dragons, unfortunately for us, but Yeah, man, Hooker's grim. Like, I was keen on Little because of the stats, but if his hamstring injury is playing him up, then sweet. But like, I'm just looking at these NRL teams. Like who are we picking? Like, Wade Egan looked nice, but he's probably at value. James K has not impressed me in the trial one bit. Damien Cook, we've already said, Father Time's undefeated. And then what? Like, Jaden Brayley is probably not going to play round one. If he does, he might play, all of 4 minutes. Like, it's just the cheese is going to be split with Watson.
Like, I was honestly, as you were talking, I was like, fuck, may as well just go cheese, really.
I mean, Mitch Kenny made 60 tackles in the World Club Challenge, but like, that's not very fun to watch.
Probably scored 58.
Yeah, just watching your hooker make tackle after tackle and provide no attack. It's grim. Like, it's really grim.
It's a tough position. Everyone's looking at Jacob Little for genuine reason the other night because they're like, if he just plays 80, he's fine. That's all we need. But now there's question marks around that too. Yeah, look, honestly, like, I won't lie. I have looked at how to get Grant in my team, and it's tough, but it's doable. But you have to sacrifice elsewhere.
So if you can't tell in my change of demeanor around Harry Grant, he's currently in my team. I had to sacrifice a premium center wing. And they're going to be volatile. They're probably going to average less than Grant for, less money. But the positional advantage of Grant, it's just like,
lock and load. Leave him there.
It's just so tough. Like, Hooker is so tough this year. Like, yeah.
Yep.
Very
You need to pick the best bloke, to be fair. Yeah. I can understand that. I'm still on the Api Coruscant train. I still have faith that as a goal-kicking hooker, it could work out. But in saying that, it could hurt me too. But again, we haven't once talked about the fact that Harry Grant's got a really tough draw to start the season. The Melbourne Storm's draw is brutal. So that's the reason why we faded initially, but now are we panicking a little bit and not thinking about the draw?
Does that benefit? Because a tied forward pack, a really, really big contest for the first half, and then a really tied forward pack in the second half, like, Grant could really go sniffing. Like, I'm less keen on Pappenhausen, obviously, but like, Grant, I think it could benefit him. Especially tied bodies around that ruck.
Yeah, the draw doesn't affect Grant as much as it would Pappy, for instance. Yeah, for sure. Agree with that. Let's move on. It's a big talking point. I guarantee we'll be answering a ton of questions next Tuesday night about Harry Grant. We'll save them for then. Boys, panic stations on Sean Bloor, though. We were pretty high on him, but it just looks like he's not even making this best 17, which is a concern.
Yeah, I mean, Kane Bradley season.
Yeah, he's in my team. Centre wing. Thanks for coming. Let's move on from him. Adam Elliott looked great in the time that he had on the field. You know what you're going to get with him more often than not. I mean, they named a bench that kind of suited him as well, so it'd be interesting to see whether they roll that bench out in round one or whether the team stays relatively similar. Thoughts on Elliott? I know you're a big Elliott lover, Josh. So,
are we watching the same game? I didn't really like watching him at all.
Like, I thought he was good.
He played 48 minutes for 33. Like,
go.
My big thing with Elliott was like, if we can get closer to 1 ppm for 60 minutes a game, then mad. But like 33 in 48 minutes was like,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know whether my standards are that high on Elliott because I don't really expect anything but just kind of tackling in the middle of the field, and the game didn't really suit that. Yeah, meat and potatoes footballer. He needs the grind, I guess, to be relevant. He needs that kind of back and forth. These
20-minute quarters don't help that. So I can understand that from that point. But like, yeah, I just think with how little cheapies we're going to get, like,
you're going to need to downgrade there.
Yeah, the 520 for Elliott just looks like less appealing. And then we've seen like Morgan Smithies today at 345 could probably do the same thing for nearly 200k cheaper. So like, we'll touch on all that. I'm sure we'll get plenty of questions about it. But yeah, maybe we were watching different games because Elliott was straight out of my team.
He's not in my team either, just so it's on the record. But I thought he was okay. But Lucas versus KPP. Who won this battle, Mattrix? Did you get a chance to kind of weigh it up? Because Lucas started, KPP did a little bit of work off the bench. Minutes were both there for both these guys, but who do you think's won the round one spot?
I think Lucas will start, but I'm not sure that makes my mind up either way. I'm not sure actually who's better. If Frizzell wasn't like maybe a little bit of a marquee player for the Knights, I would argue that they both should be nearly starting. They've both been great all preseason, but I think that we'll see a minute split. I think that we'll see them chopping and changing a little bit, which makes it unpredictable for Supercoach, and I hate it.
So KPP played about 40. He scored 25 in that 40, which was nice to see. Looked really shaky to start with, but you expect that for his first hit out in a new competition. But after that, really came into his own. Was being used a lot as a decoy, which wasn't great. Like, he's such a big boy, you want to use him well. Lucas started obviously on the left, but came off and then shifted to the right when Frizzell came off. I'm not too sure if that's a telling sign that they want to just keep KPP on the left, because that's going to be his primary position, and then they do see Lucas as cover. But I do agree with Mattrix. I do think that it will be a minute split to start with. I probably can't touch KPP just until we start to get some consistent 60-minute performances in his game. Yeah. Was there anything else to talk about from this game? Marju with a 13 after we spent a good half an hour hyping him up as the best centre wing on the podcast.
I think he still is, personally.
It's preseason, man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Keep that energy. Keep that energy for the Tigers Dragons. We'll talk about them soon.
Exactly.
Warriors 34, Dolphins 22 in the next one. Tuapiki named at the back at fullback, and it looks like obviously RTS, like you mentioned, Josh, at the start, is locked into centre. So Tuapiki probably gets the crack at number one to start the season. He got 22 points. So obviously not amazing, but you've got to pick him purely on roll. 277k he'll cost you in your centre wing. You can do worse, can't you?
I only played half the game. So played 40 and then came off. So, we can assume a 44 pre-updates. He's 277k. You may get one or two price rises out of him. Is that worth it? And I think with the lack of cheapies, it probably is. You'd much rather start with him and then eventually trade him out than not start with him and then or start with enough and then have to waste a trade to get someone else in. But I think all eyes were on number 4 for the Warriors. Mm-hmm. All vibes, 77 points. Played half the game at fullback. Ran for over 200 meters. Looked unreal.
I wouldn't even say that he came straight into my team after this because I put him in beforehand. But I'm late on the RTS train. I saw the video. We spoke about it last week in the Centre Wing pod, and I think he's a guy you're going to need to have. His ownership has gone up to 27.5% now. So it's gone up, I think, 8% in the last 3-4 days since everyone saw that he was given the right to roam this season. And that might take time. We might not see a ton of that early on, but we're going to see a lot of it eventually. Don't expect him to play fullback, though, is probably the message. They've said that he's not going to be doing that at all. But I think you can pick him at centre regardless. Plenty of upside there with him priced at 54, I think. So got to get him in your team.
A couple of other good ones. I mean, Sean Johnson scored a 63, just continuing where he got left off last year. I was really, really impressed with the middles. Obviously, AFB being a premier middle, he's going to be great, of course. But Mitch Barnett, I thought was really, really good. Probably too expensive for Classic, but a really good draft pick. 83 points from him with a try. It looked really good. I actually thought man of the match was Maratani Kore off the bench. He looked very, very good coming on as that middle. Obviously, they brought him in to start, and Jackson Ford is very serviceable. So Maratani Kore probably loses out, but he provided something off that bench that they hadn't had for a while. So only something that probably Jazz Tavanga provides. So it was good to have that sort of 1-2 punch off the bench. And I thought Kore was excellent.
And Kore did that really well for Parramatta as well before he came over to New Zealand. So they've got him back in that role now, and obviously it probably diminishes his Supercoach relevance a little bit. We both started with Kore last year, Mattrix, and he did kind of it was a lot of peaks and valleys with his start before we moved him on, but he is capable of getting over the line and he's capable of doing a lot of work in the middle as well.
I still think he's better than maybe a Jackson Ford, but like they sort of played him on the edge a bit this year. They brought him in the middle. Like Tohu's going to get his, but I do just wonder if like he can get in there and get those few more minutes, whether he could become a viable option later on.
If Jackson Ford could hold the ball, he would have had 3 tries this game. He was getting put into holes all day long.
Murata would have scored.
I thought Rocco Berry looked really good, which was disappointing because I also thought Aui Leotawa also looked really good off the bench as well. He probably doesn't get the start, and it's no fault of his own, but I think Rocco Berry played really well, and he'll probably keep the spot, which is unfortunate for Supercoach.
And Luke Metcalf needs to be part of this conversation, doesn't he, Mattrix? Because he may have found his way into your team a couple of times this weekend.
At the behest of you and I, many times.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's like, what do you guys think of Luke Metcalf? And then suddenly I get booted from the chat for 10 minutes after I get the little sin bin gift. So
We get a message from Mattrix saying like, I know you guys will hate this, and then nothing for about 3 or 4 minutes. And Braino and I going, what the fuck is going to happen? And he's like, what if I get Metcalf for Dylan Brown? And I was like,
yuck.
Look, it's become that crazy part of the season. I picked up Metcalf like with my last pick actually, no, maybe Sam Verrills was my last pick of draft, but Luke Metcalf very late in draft. I think that he's won that 6th spot. And I just think that if the Warriors have that high octane attack at 450k, maybe he's somebody that you can look at, much like people were looking at like a Jaden Campbell or somebody like that. It was a little bit of a joke going Dylan Brown to him. But if you need somebody in that 450k, that mid-range 5'8", I was struggling a lot. Like, I've got questions in the chat about Ezra Mam and some of these mid-range 5'8s. I've really struggled with 5'8", so I've had to think a little bit outside the box, and I don't really hate Luke Metcalf. And he didn't ruin his chances today, looking at his Supercoach score of 55. Sorry, 2 days ago, looking at his Supercoach score of 55. He's obviously the secondary playmaker in this team, but look, Luke Metcalf, I'm just saying, let's just talk about him.
I'd rather not.
You can talk about him. Not too sure if Mattrix are going to listen. Sorry, Braino and I. Look, it's not the worst. Like, if he's priced at 45, like, there could be a little bit of an improvement, but like, how much? Like, are we expecting him to go to a 60? Probably not. But I mean, he's fine. Like, if he's pumping you out 50s, he's a fun placeholder until something else pops up. So, yeah, don't hate it, but I don't know. 5'8's also pretty gruesome. Bit like Hooker. It's like you pay for Brown or you run KOX as your 5'8"
Yuck. Also yuck.
We'll talk about the Canberra game later, but like, I wasn't even, especially the first 40 minutes of that game, I was like, well, KOX is going to be playing reserve grade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now he won't, potentially, for round 1 anyway. We talked about Bostock, 42 with a try. I mean, he's going to need attacking stats, isn't he, to be Supercoach relevant, but can he get them? They've got a really nice draw, the Dolphins. So, again, we're talking about the Dolphins, though. So, lots of question marks.
I just want to ask you, what was it like when you turned the TV on and saw that your prize 640k possession wasn't even starting?
Fine with it. They're just putting him on ice, boys. They're just resting up their best player to make sure that he's okay and ready to go. No, I wasn't worried, only because I know that he's locked down center. They're not going to bench the guy they've just gone and paid marquee money for.
850k for.
Yeah, just to bench him.
They're paying more than what Braino's paying in Supercoach for him.
Maybe Redcliffe Dolphins need that marquee signing to take their Q Cup team to the next level.
Yeah, they do. Maybe. No, I'm not worried. I think he's fine. Azarko, though, he's not. We talked about him last week. Again, confirmed again this week. I think he got 22. More frostbite for him. He's gonna. That's 2 frostbites in 2 weeks for him. That's gonna be tough to recover from.
I've never seen a man need gloves in Redcliffe, but we might have to buy some for Osaka with all those cold hands he's gonna be getting.
That's it. It's still summer as well, poor bloke. And Gilbert's ACL. We spoke about that a little bit at the start, but you floated the idea of Valence Tafari potentially playing at lock. How good would that be?
Just get him
great.
Yeah. Ray Stone there as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of concern over Hamiso only scoring a 6-pointer. Only played about 20 minutes or so. Not too stressed about that if you're an owner. Looks like Cody Nikorima maybe has won the starting spot over our preseason love interest, and I use the term "our" very loosely. Isaiah Katoa. I thought Colin Lemuelu looked really good, considering he had a really bad injury last year. Came back and performed really well. Braino and I are both in the physio's sort of Patreon chat, and he was over the moon with his return as well. But I was going to say, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There's a couple. JMK played the full 80, which is nice. Only scored a 26 though.
I wish I paid more attention to him to kind of work out why this was, but you know why I couldn't? Because I couldn't fucking see him anywhere. What was he? Where was he? Yeah, it's like he was hiding out in the wing on defense.
It is.
I was big on
preseason.
JMK, and I know I was with you, Mattrix. I was big on him. Now, I mean, maybe he's still in. I think he's still in 11 or 12% of teams.
Mate, I've still got tickets selling for the JMK hater train. You're more than welcome to.
I don't know whether I want to jump on that train just yet, but I tell you what, if he continues like that, I'm concerned. But the good thing is he's not in my team, so I don't care anymore.
Cody Nikorima hooker duel. I haven't looked at him all season.
He is.
Stop it!
Don't float that idea.
Stop it!
Let's talk about the big elephant in the room.
When Osako gets dropped for VT dubs.
I mean, Osako might have to go into hospital with frostbite and have to get those fingers amputated. So maybe there's a couple of weeks when Nikorima can go kick. No, look, obviously, let's touch on the elephant in the room in Tom Gilbert going down. Tom Flegler played big minutes. I will actually pull up my tweet on him because the stats weren't amazing, but obviously played big minutes. And then the whole debate does come down to, is he going to play big minutes because of the injury, or was that just him rotating through? So Tom Flegler registered 56 minutes in the trial against the Warriors, and he scored 52 points. Pretty much in line with what we think his PPM is. We always think he's a 1 to slightly below 1. In the last 3 years, he's only played more than 56 minutes 4 times. So pretty much it was the 4th time in 3 years he's ever gone that big. He's priced at 47. People are thinking he's just going to walk into a 60-minute role. Like, that's not how middle forwards work. You don't spend 3 months training. Like, people need to understand, if he was there to play 50 minutes and then they're expecting a 60-minute game, like, that's, I don't know what my math is like, but that's like a 20% increase, something like that.
Chance.
Like,
not a chance.
You don't just pick up 20% more workload in 1 week because someone goes down. Our concern with Flegler was always Mark Nichols, Jared Wallace, who else played on the bench? They've got a lot of bench. I probably should have been more prepared with my little hater rant. I mean, Korfusi played on the bench, so you've got Korfusi or Lemuelu that's probably going to drop out of that starting side. You've also got, Jesse Bromwich as well. Like, we've said...
Let me tell you what's going to happen. Kenny Bromwich is going to play lock, and everybody else is going to do exactly the same fucking thing. And Lemuelu, who started on the bench, he will start on an edge. And that's pretty much... I reckon that's how it's going to play out. Kenny Bromwich did this a little bit last year too. I
think Flegler picks up minutes. I think it's 3, 4.
Yeah.
Not 15. Like, people, I don't know. Like, I think they just think that, like, one man goes down, so everyone else goes up. Like, there's no replacements that come in.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not how it works. You don't just pick up an extra 20% workload because one man goes down.
Yeah. Anything to add on that, Mattrix, on the block roll for the Dolphins?
No, not really. I'm just disappointed because Nikorima is not actually hooker duel this year.
He has a duel, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's not hooker.
Oh, damn.
Was it Nikorima? Sorry, we're talking about Nikorima?
He's 5'8" fullback. Yeah, Nikorima, sorry.
5'9".
Nikorima's 5'8" fullback, even worse.
Chuck him at fullback.
If he was, honestly, like, I am that dire at hooker that I might have even considered.
I actually wouldn't hate it if he was hooker duel. It wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah, right.
100%.
Like, if he was starting 5'8" and then, or halfback, and then, hooker duel.
All right, let's move on, guys. If you are sick of breaking glass bottles, I should say, accidentally sinking triple shots because you can't measure a pour properly, maybe your beer's going warm, your coffees are getting cold, the Standard Squeeze have everything that you need to drink responsibly and also conveniently with their food-grade quality, plastic, and fantastic 4-in-1s. So you can go to their website, thestandardsqueeze.com, and use the code INSIGHT15 to get yourself 15% off everything in store. Let's is there anything to mention here besides Deloise Hoyter for the Broncos? 40 beating Manly 14, not really Supercoach relevant here. Both their teams are overseas.
Brendan Takura's pretty big.
He's a big boy.
Ben Takura's pretty big.
He's large. Surely he sees some form of NRL this year.
I think maybe over Origin, yeah.
Did you see the video or the photo? I think it was Darcy McDonald interviewing him and she was like,
needed a go-go gadget arm to get the mic up to him. Big boy.
Not a whole to talk about in this game. Nice to see the Broncos winning. Brad Parker getting a try.
Yep. That doesn't sound like you.
Whatever. I'm gonna be positive. I just shit on the Dolphins for about 10 minutes. So I need to give some kind of positivity. Brad Parker scored a try, which was cool.
Hank Scorpio.
What did Phil say? No, I was going. Did Phil say he'd play Origin? No, that was Burbo.
I don't know. I really don't
Also,
know. I think Phil just said that he might bring him into his team, but I think he was taking the piss.
Look at all these. Like, this is just like a reserve grade team, and then you just got Torfor Sipley there, who's suspended for the first 4 weeks. It's just rolled out with a bunch of kids and just dominate.
Living the dream. How good's that?
I think everyone, and I think I tweeted this like back in like mid-December. Everyone that's like in love with Gordon Kentong Tong, like, I think Jamie Humphries is the guy. Like, Jamie Humphries is really good. He's bulked up a lot, defended really well, can play hooker, can play half, probably can play center if need be. Really like the look of him. Baffling that Brendan Wakem was playing first grade last year. Absolutely baffling that was a thing.
Well, he played his best game ever. He played a career game in front of Mattrix at Suncorp Stadium at Magic Round last year. And
that was
I got
sensational.
About 3 messages from him that game. Do you know how good Brendan Wakem was in this game? Loved him.
Apart from that, not much in this game to talk about.
Two things I want to bring up, and it's Manly related. So I've been waiting till now. If you have 270k and you can bring in Tuapiki or Burbo, but you can only have one at the moment,
Burbo.
Which one? Yeah, it's Burbo. Do you think he stays? Like, but do you think maybe he goes back to like 15 minutes off the bench when?
I don't know. Like, everyone keeps saying that like Seabold rates Schuster, but like, are they just saying that to like keep the kids' confidence up? Like,
is the coach really going to come out and say, "Nah, don't rate that kid"?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I don't want to sit here and just rag on players from an NRL standpoint. Like, I'll shit on them from a Supercoach standpoint all day long, but like from an NRL standpoint, like he had one great year in 2021, and then from then it's just been like, what?
I think everyone's probably thinking the great year came in the back row on the left edge. So they're thinking, well, same kind of position. He could be outside Luke Brooks, but again, I mean, if you can't do it outside Kieran Foran.
I'm very cautious about ripping into players after I saw what the Pelicans did to Stephen A. Smith. I don't want the Manly team to find this video and take an edit.
Oh, honestly, how good is that though? That was one of the best social media videos I've seen.
Locker room. You could use it. They could bring that to the locker room to bring them motivation if you want to give them a chop. But one thing I am going to let rip a little bit as a Broncos fan, and it's all you got. It's all the guys that don't watch Bronco games, and I've been to a couple Queensland Cup games and stuff. I quite often get disappointed in Blake Moser. I think that he is our 4th best hooker at the club. And that is just honestly, yeah.
He loves Pakes. You watch any of our shows last year, he's big on Pakes.
Yes, I haven't watched much of Moser, but like you read the timeline and Bronco fans are like saying that he is the greatest hooker of all time, and he's better than Harry Grant.
Yeah, like I know. So that's why a little while ago, that's why I started, putting him in and started watching him. And I know like it was 17 and 18-year-old playing Queensland Cup. He's only 19 now and he can develop, and I hope that he does. But right now, like everybody that I get so many messages about Blake Moser. Like it's crazy. And it's just like he is a year away from being maybe 2 years away at the moment, perhaps.
Let the kid be a kid.
It sounds very similar to us and Tristan Da Silva. Like Tristan Da Silva, great player and will be a great player, but he's not ready now. He's still very green in defense, still makes a lot of bad reads. So yeah, I think Moser and Da Silva are probably in that same category, and it's fitting that we're the fan base of both those guys. But I mean, I was impressed by him. And you can only play what's in front of you, and hopefully he does improve. Like hooker is not a position where 19-year-olds thrive very often. Like Harry Grant recently is probably the exception. He went to the Tigers and he did it in a very bad side, and you knew he was going to be good. If you can dominate in a bad side in your rookie year, you're going to be good. But obviously when you're getting mentored by Cam Smith, it makes things easier. But yeah, just chill. Like middle forwards, it's hard to dominate so young. So Blake Moser is probably another good example.
Yep. Speaking of Harry Grant at the Tigers, it's a shame he wasn't there for this one. Dragons 34 beat the Tigers 18 in this game. Trials don't count though, so
trials don't count. Nah. In saying that though, I have 2 grand final tickets I purchased last week prematurely that I'm happy to sell that.
Fuck, we were high on them. We all pulled out a couple of times.
One. We won the preseason
well.
challenge. I'll come. We won the preseason challenge.
We talk about stacks.
We've been winning by an average of 30.
We talk about stacks a lot. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty keen on the Moses Sully, Jaden Sewer stack.
Oh, how good was Sully though? Like,
Mate, unreal.
he was awesome. But again, do we take anything from this knowing they were playing the Tigers? I mean,
Also,
probably not.
we lost Olam quite early, which made outside, like, Naden is a terrible defender. Charlie Staines is Charlie Staines. Like, Olam was good when he was on, and he ran the ball well, and you can see that he was a big positive for us. But when he went off, we fell apart. But that left-hand side for the Dragons was elite. I would be concerned about buying Jaden Sewer. Like, I can see the appeal, but it's basically been confirmed that he will shift to the right. He said after the game he prefers to play on the right, and Lucci will come straight into that left-hand side, which probably kills our RFM. Like, that just puts a nail in the coffin for Raymond Faitala-Mariner.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I mean, we talked a little bit about Little at the start. We won't touch on him again. Sullivan and Caesar shared the kicking duties in this one as well, like in play. So again, for anybody holding Caesar, maybe it's just not the player we're looking for now at that kind of 330k or something.
Yeah,
not goal kicking.
350.
I'm done.
Pretty often now.
Done with Caesar. Let's chat about Lockie Galvin. Like, Benji was blowing smoke up his ass all preseason, and we were wondering, is that just a coach trying to pump his young kid up? Like, he's the real deal. Like, Benji said age is just a number. If you're good enough, you're old enough, and he's good enough. Like, he looked really good. He can play 6. He can play back row. He can play center. He runs a really good line. He will start. Don't ask me when. He will start eventually. And then the question is, for 70k cheaper, can he match or even go within 5 points of a KO Weeks?
My opinion is, from what we saw from KO Weeks over the 2 trials in the last fortnight, I reckon he could. Everyone's going to pick Weeks though, because he'll get named next week. But I reckon next week, get it? But there's maybe some trap vibes there for him, because what happens if Ethan Strange let's say he gets suspended, he comes back from this suspension, let's say it's 2 or 3 weeks, right? And he comes back and just takes Weeks' spot, and Weeks is playing reserve grade, and you're fucked. Like, there's a lot of risk picking him now.
It might not take days. It might take weeks, but I don't think he'll be. I don't think. Honestly, Chevy Stewart got dropped for doing a KO Weeks out there.
Yeah, and I think if Ethan Strange didn't pile drive someone, he starts. I generally do think that.
Me too.
In saying that, I'm going to be starting with Galvin over Weeks. I can do it with the cash. I can think they can go close, especially like utility Weeks. Non-Supercoach related, I'm so keen for Luai. Like, we
just look lost in their opposition 20, don't we?
People are saying, like, oh, Luai's not a game manager. No, he's not. But we have no issue getting into the opponent's 20. Like, that whole game, we just rolled through. We have a good forward pack. We have Bateman. We have Papali'i. We have Utoya Kamanu, Clemmer, and Fanil Bole. Like, we just rolled through them all game. And then we get to the fucking 10-meter line, and it's like, hey, Alex Seyfarth, here's a one-out ball. Hey, David Clemmer, here's a one-out ball. Luai's going to be so good for us. In saying that, at Coruscant, 30 points, played about 55, 60 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't keep him out of our in-goal. They just kept scoring. So for a guy like Appy, we just didn't... I don't know. I'm not overly worried about it. Appy's still in my team. I still probably plan on keeping him there. Just price, I mean, the guy's goal kicking as well. And yes, the argument does become, can the Tigers score enough points to be relevant? Last year, Josh, I think you threw a status, during the preseason, that last year the Tigers scored how many tries? 71 or 72 tries for the season?
In the last 3 years, we averaged 71. So divide that by 24, it's about 3 a game.
3 tries, he kicks at 80% or 60%. So let's say he kicks 2 out of 3. It's an extra, 4 or 5 points as a bare minimum from what we're going to get from him from last year. He's the point of the attack for the Tigers. It'll click eventually. We're looking at a second trial.
If we have no fucking attack, we're forced to just go crash ball. One of them will pay off, and Appy will get a try.
We'll get there. Yep, 100%. We
saw that in week 1. I don't delve deep into the stats, but I was comparing Harry Grant to Appy Coruscant's scores last year, and then trying to add like the 8 to 10 points I think that he can get from goal kicking. And he's only a couple of 100 points away for the year, and he's 200k cheaper. I can't see, like, even though I think the Tigers are bad, like, they were bad last year too, so it's a good comparison. They're going to be bad again this year. Just adding the goal kicking, I think, is enough for me to add Appy.
If Appy was passive in attack, I wouldn't want him. I'm not just picking him just because he can put the ball on a tee, but he is the attack for the Tigers. If anything is really going to happen, it's going to happen through Appy at some point, especially if we're close to the line. So, yeah, look, it's either Harry Grant, Appy, or just punt Hooker completely, I reckon.
Are we concerned? I know that you said he's the focal of our attack, but I read this in a group chat, and I just want to confirm it before I do say it on air. I think Appy only had like one run the entire game, which, is a concern, obviously. Are we worried about that?
I mean, yes, but do I think it's going to be that much of an impact? I'm just trying to find ways where I don't have to...
14 run meters for Appy.
I'm trying to find a way to save myself 180k. And you're making it hard for me, I'll tell you that much. But it's
Appy's making it hard for
we're talking about Hooker. That's it. And I don't know whether I want to pay up Harry Grant, and Appy's the next best option.
Jareen Buller. I can't wait for him to leave us. He deserves so much better.
No, don't say that. Don't do that to me.
Do you think Fanua Pole did anything to put his hand up and say, maybe I should take the 13 back in this game?
No.
I mean, not the 13.
He scored the same amount of points as Alex Seyfarth without the try. Like, he had 73 points with the try. I think Benji has openly spoken about him wanting to keep, like, first team standards on the bench. And is Fanua Pole better than Alex Seyfarth? Yes. Like, that's clear. But I think the fact that he wants to keep some kind of structure to the team and not have a drastic drop off would see Seyfarth start. I'm not going to use the term must have for a Tigers asset, but 360k if he plays 50 minutes like Seyfarth.
320. It's
320. Sorry. Only has to average.
Yeah, I've got
42.
Seyfarth.
Yeah, I've got Seyfarth too. I was just bringing it up.
Yeah, only has to average 42 to make 10 points, which I think he can do. I mean, we got battered, and he still scored 36.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think he's the only question mark becomes we don't play round one. We've got the bye, so you're picking a guy based on a questionable role, and we've got to wait until round 2 to see what's going to happen there. So there is a little bit of risk involved, but I still think he's going to start in the 13. So.
It's always better to start with the player and trade them out than to not start with them and trade them in. Because that's 2 trades you'll eventually have to make to trade him back out. Whereas if you start with him and he sucks, then you can trade him out for 1. So
yep. Good point. Let's move on to the final couple of games of the week. But before we do, Insight Unlimited is finally here. It's exclusive access to the team here at Insight Fantasy Sports. You get access to all of our thoughts. You can get inside our heads from final teams to trade thoughts, captains, exclusive member Q&A. And every single round we're going to be doing this as well and much more. This isn't just NRL either. This is AFL, NBL, and BBL as well. And also NBA if you're an NBA fantasy head. It's only going to cost you $25 for the whole year. So you can just jump in the Discord and all the info is going to be there for you to get signed up. And if you, I guess if you want to know our final teams, we're going to be giving it to all the Insight Unlimited members. We've been updating them on our team changes as we have gone through the season as well. So worthwhile little investment there to get on top of your Supercoach competitions and win your leagues. Cowboys this afternoon, 36 beat the Raiders 26. What are we looking at from this one, Mattrix? Is there anything here? I know we spoke about Cohen Hess going down. Maybe it's a good point to start because I tell you what, there's one guy screaming out for an opportunity.
Yeah, look, actually the Cowboys looked they look good, I think. Like, at the start, they looked a little rusty, and I just started to think, oh, maybe it's just the Cowboys of old, but Scott Drinkwater was insane, and, like, do we just have to get Lukey into our team at that mid-price?
For me, yeah. I've got Lukey. I reckon he's a lock. He 471k, so he is that higher mid-range option. But just looking at the role he's going to have, he should play 80 or, close to it on the right edge. I've been high on him for a couple of years now. He's a gun.
I think he does. I mean, I think it was pretty telling that Finafuiaki didn't play huge minutes today. And Todd Payton is still persisting with Jake Granville. So I think Finafuiaki is probably not going to make the 17, which would just give 80 for Lukey and Nenai. I mean, Lukey did have some discipline issues today. I think he considered 2 penalties back to back, but still scored 45.
Very true. The pain Mattrix just went through to say that the Cowboys look good.
It hurt.
You're trying to find a way around it. It was good. Very impressive.
Yeah, no, they were good.
You mentioned Drinky, 3 line break assists, 3 try assists, only scored 60 odd. That's what we're going to get. I won't ask Josh this because he's going to trigger it.
Don't fall into this trap of being like, well, Drinkwater can't score without attacking stats, because I hinged my entire personality on that, and that went very well last year. He has no base, but it doesn't matter because he just pumps out attacking returns for fun.
He's him. Yeah,
he is him.
Is Morgan Smithies him? 25 in 25 minutes. The bloke's just a workhorse. I think when you look into his stats, he had a game where he had 19 runs in the Super League and made 60 odd tackles in the same game.
There was also talk. There's also obviously the big concern preseason was the fact that he was going to battle with Corey Horsburgh, but it seems like the Raiders are massive on him, and Corey Horsburgh is just going to go back and play prop. Josh Papali'i is pretty happy to come off the bench. He said that multiple times, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Tarpany and Horse, off the bench, rotating with Papali'i and Gula, and whoever else Ricky decides to chuck in there. And I think Smithies can play 55 minutes. I wasn't keen on him at the start of the preseason. But yeah, I was really impressed, and all the talk out of the Raiders is he is also him.
And you can play him in your 17 and not really have to worry. I think if the role's there, I've got him in mind at the moment. He's only 345k. We're scrounging around trying to find every cent at the moment because these cheapies aren't popping up. And this guy could honestly be 600k at the end of the season if he gets the role. Now, is that going to happen? Who knows? But if he gets 55 minutes, I reckon he could easily average 58. So get him in your team.
Honestly, now, I'm in the car in the middle, rolling around, looking for Macca's money at the moment. It is grim out there. I am looking for every 5-cent piece right now. And just going one of those 420k guys to Morgan Smithies was a godsend.
Do you remember when ice cream cones were 5 cents as well, by the way? Those were the days.
5 cents?
Yeah, remember, we're a bit older than you.
40-cent cone.
You've had it easy. What's the worst case for Smithies? Average-wise?
45.
Sweet.
Yeah.
10 points. 10 points at the worst. So I'm pretty keen.
Yeah, for sure. Cohen Hess going down. Now, we saw one man put his hand up today that isn't even in the top 30. Thomas McKaylee. Now, what's he priced at, Josh? Because you're throwing 500 different teams at us in about 2 hours.
I make some stinking calls, but this wasn't one of them. I tweeted back in early January when Tanua Brown went down. I said McKaylee could be in the rotation, and all the Cowboys fans were like, "No, he's washed." He was a Tiger, and I thought he was okay, he was getting somewhere, and then went to the Super League, did nothing. Came back and looked unreal. He's 238k, same price as Hughes, same price as Henry. 2 tries. Hess went down. McLean sucks.
Bench impact minutes is fine.
I'm really keen.
He showed us what he could do today. So you get that off the bench for 30 minutes, and he'd be in my team at that price.
You say that he looked like a really big try scoring threat today. He's never scored a try.
Yeah. Nah, we're not worried about that.
67 games or something, and he hasn't scored a try yet in an NRL game.
I know it's 12 vibes approaching.
Yeah.
But look, we'll keep an eye out in TLT and see what that bench looks like, and see whether he looks like he's going to get minutes.
Granville's named, he's straight in. If you had Henry, I would swap McKaylee for Henry in a heartbeat. I would even potentially swap him and Willison for the extra 40k.
Yep. Don't mind that.
Is Wilson going to out averaging by 4 points? Probably not.
Nah. I don't know. We're predicting minutes here at the moment, and it's hard to know with the Broncos because we only saw 1 week. And we didn't see any of Willison for the Broncos either because he played in the All-Star game. So there's too many. There's a bit going on there, but they're pretty high on him. So let's move on to the Titans and the Eels, boys. The last one of today, and then we'll touch on the Panthers' results against Wigan. But Keeney looked decent. I didn't realize how small he was. Guy's a little pocket rocket.
Not a big boy. Similar to JC.
Campbell.
Similar mold to JC. Very small.
But he looked good.
Yeah, he's good.
The only unfortunate point is, good fantasy option, absolutely, but he's fullback only for Supercoach, and you're not going to put him in to start the season with so many good fullback options.
You might not even get a price rise out of it. Like, you might not even get a price rise because JC said he's going to be back, try and be back round 4. And they have a buy.
Tracking well?
Yeah, tracking well, of course. They have a buy in round 2 or 3. So you wouldn't even get a price rise out of him.
Yep. Yeah, no vibes. Also, no vibes for Keenan Palacia. Fuck, I was praying for something good from this bloke because I really need that front row forward option. He is dual as well.
Great dud. Pure ass.
Terrible. And hey, Mattrix warned us as well.
21 minutes, 11 points to the fucking middle forward. What is...
Yeah, disgusting. Hey, Mattrix warned us. He said, no one really rates this bloke. He didn't do anything at the Broncos, and we thought, no, he's going to the Titans now. Didn't come off.
Like he plays football and he's fine, but they would have kept him. Like, they kept Corey Jensen instead, which is possibly the most mid move in the world. Like, there's your answer.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to this because I don't know the answer. Hopefully one of you do. I don't know whether we do, though. Hands versus Lussick. It's not any clearer, is it?
Nope.
I think it's hands. I was not impressed by Lussick at all.
So when Lussick was playing at the back end of last year, hands got dropped at that point and Lussick was playing the 9. Does that show Brad Arthur's hand a little bit?
Look, it's hard because, like, Brendan Hands was not expected to play last year. Josh Hodgson was. And I feel like everyone knew that something was going to be bad except the Parramatta Eels. So Brendan Hands was not expected to play. And I think Lussick was still playing in the Super League, so he was still, like, match ready or match sharp.
Mid-season signing, wasn't he?
And we saw today that the Super League is obviously the Premier League, so their form is taken much more seriously than ours. But I am happy to discredit that because I don't think he was expected to be playing. He was sort of chucked in, and Brad Arthur just said, please don't fuck it up. Just be fine. Dylan Brown attending the fiddler didn't help. The whole cohesion was out, and that probably affected Hands a little bit. Lussick was fine. I thought his service was pretty poor. And Hands offered a little bit with his running, had a nice kick down the field. Like, these are small things. I don't know. What's going to happen is Brad Arthur next week is going to say, yeah, no, I'm still sticking with 80 minutes. And then TLT rolls around, and then they fucking name the 2 of them.
Yep. That's 100% what's going to happen. And we're going to end up with Danny Levi as a playable guy because we've got Api Coruscant as our starters. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Roll out Danny Levi.
Fuck. Couple of comments about Jermaine Hopgood in the chat. Fuck, he was good today. And look, we knew this, right? But
shock horror.
Jermaine,
he's a good football player.
He's so good, but you can't. Can you start with him? Like when we're so scrapped, like we're basically the bottom of the barrel is dry from us trying to find this coin, and then you're going to go and pay up for Hopgood. I just don't know whether it's a smart move when you're like, is he going to score a try every week? No. So, yeah, look, Hopgood was great, and he's definitely a target for the back end of the year, but I don't think you can't start with him. Boys, anything else on this one before we talk about the Panthers?
Not really. Like, Clint Gutherson looked really good. Like, we know that he's good. We think that he'll average in the 60s. I still don't think he becomes an option. I don't know, Sam Verrills, like the minute split kind of with Randall. I sort of expected Randall to sort of drop out completely. I know that that's TLT dependent, but I thought Sam Verrills might have, been getting a little bit more involved than that.
I think the big talking point is big Sean Lane. Demoted to the bench before kickoff, and Tuilagi came on. Was not good. And then Sean Lane came on in the second half, scored 26 in 40 minutes, which was nice. Tuilagi rotated through the right edge as well. Are we concerned, or the fact that he was named to start is promising enough?
Yeah, I'm not worried at all. They're not going to pick Kelma Tuilagi over Sean Lane. That's just not going to happen.
Have you checked your mailbox recently? Have you got your invite for the Cardi party in 2024 again?
Fuck off. No, I'll never attend a party like that.
Are you going to just pick,
I should have last year.
Are you just going to pick Matt Dory again?
Yeah, probably. That was the single most worst decision of my Supercoach season last year. ruined it.
career, like seasons.
Actually, could be up there. Actually, no, there was one point I paid 969,000 for Turbo, and then he came back, played one game, got 70, and then busted his shoulder and was out for the season. So, yeah, that was up there last year with one of the worst decisions. But yeah, let's move on to Penrith and Wigan, because there were some interesting things to take from this game. First of all, Taylor May on the left, Targo on the right. We saw that, but obviously with Taruva going down, we spoke about the injury a little bit at the start. I wouldn't be banking on him missing too much time. The hope was maybe that May was going to move to left wing and we would see your boy Paul Alamotti turn up. And I think those dreams are dashed, boys.
Yeah, they are. Before we spoke about Morgan Smithies being him, Bevan French is him. He just is.
Did you guys wake up to my text message this morning? Did you guys wake to my text message this morning? It's like, did you guys get on Bevan French at any time try scorer? And then that one was disallowed.
Half an inch off. No, so like I posted on X this morning. I was like, before Manly signed Brooks, I'm sure French would have taken a lesser contract just to get back here. I mean, before we signed Sullivan, we needed a 6, and the Raiders obviously they're like up in the air with the 6. Like Bevan French could do a whole lot worse, and like I think it's good for these kind of players. Like Jackson Hastings is another one. Like these guys that come through the NRL way too young. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brody Croft come back over, similar to Aiden Caesar when he's mid-30s and just carve out a good role. Like these young spine players that are way too young, get thrown into the spotlight and get eaten out to dry. I honestly thought Kyle Flanagan was Super League bound in a similar route. Like go back there and just get your confidence back and come back. I mean, Jai Field's another one. Jai Field was exceptional last year for the Super League and had a great clutch play on Taylor May. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the refereeing sucked. Like, we can all say that. But people are trying to write Wigan off and saying that they didn't deserve it. Like, Penrith had so much possession, so much field territory. Penrith had so many cracks at them and they couldn't break them. And the refs don't stop that. Like, yes, there was controversial calls. Like, I can understand that. But to say that Penrith didn't have their chances is ridiculous. And to take it away from Wigan is not right.
No, completely agree. They played really well. It was a good game of footy. It was pretty grindy. The one thing that stood out for me was with obviously the lack of depth in the in goal. We didn't see as many grubbers in goal. We didn't see as many kicks in the opposition 20. Cleary seemed to put it away, or the Panthers seemed to put it away in general, and they just weren't kicking for the first 30 minutes of this game. And then miraculously, as soon as they put a kick through, something happens from it.
Shock horror. Best player in the world puts a kick up. They get a try. Shock horror. No, but yeah, obviously the shorting goals, and Penrith obviously were just backing themselves to be like, cool, have the ball 5 meters out. We're just going to tackle you for 5 tackles for 20 meters.
Are we going to see that this year, though? That's the question. Are we going to see more of that? We'll just take the tackle and you guys can go from 5 meters out here due to the fact that teams are getting better at that short dropout?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, it could do, especially a team like Penrith that they're happy to just do the dirty work for 10 minutes. Absolutely. I wouldn't be against it. We saw Cleary adopt it. But yeah, no one wants to talk about Wigan from a Supercoach standpoint. But yeah, look, I was super impressed with Taylor May. 58 points, should have been 78. Taruva dropped an absolute sitter. So yeah, I'm gonna say 78 points in his first game back in 16 months.
And really, he's 450k.
And people are
450k.
People are sitting there going like, oh, I'd rather him on the wing or at right center. Like Matt Burton averaged mid-60s. Tyrone Peachy averaged 50. And Isaac Tonga obviously averaged mid-60s as well at left center. So I'm not concerned at all one bit.
No worries. No worries. We called him a lock in the last centre wing episode when we talked about him. Nothing changes there. If anything, it's nice to see him come back and do what we expected of him. It makes him even more of a lock for me. People are saying, there's a question in the chat about Glue Hands Peachy inside him potentially if Taruva misses some time. That's only going to be for a game, maybe 2 games max. I think Taruva is going to be back. He could easily slot in for round 1. So I'm not
I think they played Melbourne in round 1 as well. So it's like if he sucks, he was going to suck anyway. So fine.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Dylan Edwards was good in this one, Mattrix, but not really a Supercoach classic option anyway, but definitely a smoky in draft.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I really like Dylan Edwards in draft because you can probably wait until like the 4th round. I actually saw Gutho even go in the 3rd round because they seem to go really top heavy, and you start to see, in that 1st round, 4 or 5 fullbacks go, and then people start to focus elsewhere. So yeah, Dylan Edwards I love for draft. But are you excited for next year now that the Super League is the superior league? We're going to be doing Super League Supercoach, and I'm really excited to talk about Bevan French a lot more.
I'm really keen to tell everyone that Abbas Maskey is needs to be in your round 1 team. So does Kate Ellis, another name from the past. Cruz leaving anyone? Titans cult hero Cruz leaving? Get him in.
Oh, Adam Karen? Yeah.
Oh, that was
too many.
I was very fucking surprised to see.
There's too many supers in that, though. You can't call it Super League Supercoach.
No, just Super League Coach.
Super League, yeah. No, I mean, Isaiah Yeo was immaculate. Like, he's so good.
Yeah. Nothing else really to talk about there, though.
Liam Henry.
Oh, yeah, I'm off. I mean, his bum must have been really warm for that first half. He didn't play the entire first half and then played 27 minutes in the second half. He scored 22. I mean, after Thomas, the new Lolo McKaylee, I'm very happy to swap him out.
Yep, well said. And look, there's going to be...
Did you know Thomas McKaylee went to Canberra High, the same as David Feeder, Tanner Boyd, and Payne Haas?
Yeah, they're in. Has to happen. Boys, before we answer the questions, we'll get around to Ryan from Astute Newstead. Guys, if your rates are above 6.2%, you want to buy a new home, maybe you want to refinance your existing mortgage, you can reach out to Ryan at Astute Newstead for an obligation and cost-free inquiry. You go to his Linktree, Hammond's Home Finance. It's in the link in the description below. Hit him up, let him know that we sent you, and he'll look after you. Guys, let's cover some of these questions. We've got some good ones coming in. Anthony McElroy is not impressed with Ethan Bloody Strange. Almost ready to give Dylan Brown the flick for him. What are we thinking? How long is he going to get suspended for? I'm going to say 2 weeks, maybe because he'll take an early plea. What do we reckon?
The Supercoach in mix is a $500 fine, and he's right to play round 1. But the realistic is probably 2 or 3 weeks.
And there'll need to be an investigation. Ricky Stewart won't be very happy about it either.
He's already blown up the Jacob Gagai. He could use the All Stars game as a write off, and Nick Cottridge couldn't. Seb Chris couldn't, which I think is a fair point from Sticky.
That is a fair point. Yeah. I'm on Ricky's side with that.
Are you in the 2 to 3 week camp, Mattrix?
Yeah, I'm probably 1 to 2. Obviously, he hasn't offended before.
Yeah, it's his first offense.
Do you think? Do you think if he gets Dave Fafita as his lawyer, it'll work?
6 weeks.
Yeah. Who? Yeah, I think that's exactly what's gonna happen.
That was the best fucking NRL story last
year. We were live on the podcast looking at the updates. That was a great episode. I've never felt like Ace Attorney more than that moment. Judge Judy.
Oh dear. Tom's asking, is it okay to fade Sean Lane? No. I don't think we're on board with that.
Sean Lane, he would have scored 54 if he played the 80. Do with that information. No, sorry, 56. Do with that information what you will. And that's with no attack.
We know, yeah, there's every chance he plays 80 more often than not. So, yeah, I'm agreed. Jack's asking us any must-haves under 250K.
Fuck. Jack, if you know any.
Not Liam Henry.
Slide into our DMs if you know any.
Yeah, let us know.
Denny Levi at this rate.
Yeah, it's very sparse.
Kane Bradley.
For
sure. No, look, in all seriousness, let me quickly pull up my team and I'll see if I can list off any names that have any kind of relevance. Obviously, Sam Hughes is a must. I mean, McKaylee definitely has come into consideration. Viliami Fafita, we didn't talk about him. He didn't play huge minutes in the trial, but played enough in the Charity Shield, which probably was the only game that mattered to the Dragons, that I was fine to roll him out as my front row forward 6.
Fafita was standing under the sticks more often than not, wasn't he, when the Dragons just kept piling points onto the Tigers, so work rate wasn't there.
He was very hydrated for Fafita. He's getting those drink breaks in quite often. I mean, if you want to go Lockie Galvin over KO Weeks, like, I'm not against that. I think they probably average very similar. So I'm keen on Galvin. And then apart from that, I mean, maybe Kane Bradley. Like, it's pretty grim under that basic price.
I still think Strange. Like, Strange gets 1 or 2 weeks. I'm not burning a trade on it because I'm not playing. Yeah, I think I am. Even if he gets a couple weeks, I think I'm going to just sit him on my bench. Yeah. Because I think he's better than KO Weeks. And I think as soon as he's back, he's going to be in the squad or in the team. 17.
So are you going to have him in centre wing or 5'8"? You're going to have him as your 5'8" too?
No, I'm going to have him in centre wing. Yeah. I may as well just... Yeah.
There's 2 other options at centre wing that will generate money regardless. So you probably just go with them.
Lecky wants to know, is Ezra Mam going to go to another level this year? Josh, we're not qualified to speak because we've kind of poo-pooed him all pre-season. Mattrix, go on. Sell it.
Yes, but not from a Supercoach standpoint. I think that he does not have a very Supercoach game. I think he's elite player, elite ball runner. Even when you start looking at NRL fantasies, he does not kick the ball. You'll see someone like Billy Walters probably kick the ball more than Ezra Mam. Basically, a fantastic footballer, but should not be in consideration for either Supercoach or NRL fantasy.
Didn't think you'd say that. Good of you to be honest.
Spicy.
He's elite. Like, I love watching him. He's one of my favorite players to watch. But
whereas
I
with us, I'd have Dream Buller over Turbo, over KP. A captain most weeks.
Jeez. Adam King, thanks for watching, mate. He thinks that any Tigers fans playing Supercoach should get some form of extra cash to spend as a form of sympathy. Very on board with that.
Always been a big Alex Davis fan. Yeah, I'm a big
Alex
Tigers
Seyfarth
fan,
for free.
Actually.
Yeah, just give us Alex Seyfarth for free and just let us use that cash elsewhere. That'd be nice. 404 Error Page is still my favourite commenter in these shows. Hunt, Kafusi, Rudolph and Hazleton seem to be the big fellas in the middle there. Hunt could be a decent shout. So we've got the approval of the Royce Hunt fan club. Paul Vards wants...
Huge club. It's a huge club.
It is big.
Yeah, we meet every week.
3 of them. Yeah. Will McInnes have to start 3 games at hooker after the season starts to duel? And usually, yes, that's how it works. And, we spoke a little bit about how good would it be to get duel, but more often than not, he's not going to start there. He's going to be relief for Brayley. So they're not even going to recognise that as hooker duel. I wouldn't have said, Josh, am I right in saying that?
No, not unless Craig Fitzgibbon came out at press conference today and said Cam McInnes will play hooker this year. They won't change it, unfortunately.
Is Will McInnes Cam McInnes' brother? Just asking for a friend.
Yeah. I don't know. The question started with Will McInnes.
Right.
Will Cam McInnes have to start 3 games? Yeah, very good. Very good dad joke from you.
Just wait. Thanks. You'll get it when you're dead.
Yeah, was that like the other... What was the joke that went over your head last time?
Yeah. He was going down on a player, and I was just like, "Hey, pause."
That's right. Hold up. Josh T is dropping Marju to Herbie and then picking up Grant. Is that the play?
You're asking the right man in the far left.
Yes. I've already spoken about Herbie. I've got him in my team, but dropping Marju to Herbie, are we reacting to this trial game that he got 10 or whatever it was? I don't know whether I'd be overreacting to that too much, but with obviously the lack of cash that we've got at the moment, I think you probably need to find it from somewhere. And if it means getting someone, I'd probably rather drop down to maybe Val Holmes as opposed to Herbie. I'm just using that extra 100K. So if you don't need that cash, I'd probably go Marju down to Holmes with the goal.
Yeah, but if you go Marju down to Holmes, I'm presuming you can't go to Grant. That's the problem.
I assume so.
I think I'd rather drop Marju to Herbie than, and then have to
pick up
Appy.
Grant.
Yeah.
I think Appy and Marzu outscore Grant and Herbie.
Yeah.
I
agree with that.
If you're looking at going Appy to Grant with the money you get from Marzu to Herbie, I'd rather just run with Mars. The attack may dry up a little bit, but we still know that he's going to pump out mid-50s just by waking up in that morning.
Also, we know at the start of the season, the games are really congested through the middle of the field. They don't play that much expensive footy at the start of the season. It starts to open up a little bit when we get to 5, 6. So it's a bit grindy to start. So, the wingers are probably going to get less opportunity to start, but they'll come good, especially a guy like Marju who gets that natural base. He bases 32 a game last year. That's elite in centre wing. So definitely.
To be completely honest, to Josh, I'm still on Hammer over Herbie anyway. But yeah, if you want to
After my live trade, I'm not on either. After your live trade on the episode last week, I'm not on either, unfortunately.
That's because you had to find like $2 million to get in Harry Grant. Can't wait to see your final team. Would you start Hughes in front row forward?
I'm still waiting to work it out.
Mark is probably asking the question we've all asked ourselves 15 times so far in the last maybe 3 days. Can you have Hughes as your front row forward too?
Not off the trial.
Yep.
You can. Okay.
Yeah, honestly,
jury.
I'm just fading front row now. I'm just so off it. I
For us,
think
I mean-
spending 200k between Sam Hughes and to Tyrell May. I could spend 200k and get, I don't know, like Viliama Fafita to Sean Lane, or like, of course I've got Sean Lane, but you could go to a picky to May. I actually have a friend that's called Tua Picky, so that just slipped out. But realistically, I think you could spend the 200k elsewhere, and the difference is going to be a lot more. Like, yes, you should not run Sam Hughes at front row forward, but because it's front row forward this year, I think you have to make a sacrifice somewhere. And if it's in front row forward, I even prefer that over sacrificing hooker.
Yeah, we've spoken about it a bit, and I think we need to find cash somewhere. And front row forward and hooker are the two lowest upside positions in the game. It makes sense to, if you're going to go cheap, you're going to go cheap there.
I'm pretty keen on not spending more than like 450 on my front row forwards. Like, I think I've come around to that, and that's like not going ultra cheap, but that's like a Tavita Sola, Talon May, Royce Hunt for 330. Like, I'd much rather have Sam Hughes. Yeah, Thomas McKelly, obviously. I'd much rather have Royce Hunt as my front row forward 2, and then have Sam Hughes as like a front row forward 3, like a good 40-point backup if you need it. But I wouldn't rely on him. And that was like my dilemma, because I was like, if he goes down, who is your next man up? And if it's Willison or McKaylee or Henry, it's like, fuck, we're hoping for a 30. Yeah,
we're in trouble. Safe Arthur, genuine option, Tom. Yes, we've spoken about him, so rewind a little bit when we talked about the Tigers game. Braden Dunstan asking, would we pick Strange even with the looming suspension? You've answered that question, Mattrix. You would. I don't think I would, personally. I feel like he might be a good use of a downgrade potentially for cash for maybe someone who doesn't perform early. If he comes back into this team, I can free up a bit of cash by getting Strange in when he does start.
But something that was said in an earlier podcast from one of you fellas, I can't remember which one of yous, was like, it's not good to be banking in trades, and Strange was so much better than Weeks. Like it was streets ahead. Like, they're not even in the same class of football player at the moment. Like, Strange created a little bit. Go on.
Can you remind me of what team he plays for?
Who his fucking coach is?
Yeah, who's the coach of the Canberra Raiders?
I know, but like, I'm probably not playing a 238k center week 1 anyway. So if he's just sitting there and he gets his price rise in week 4 or 5, I think I'm going to have bigger problems in my team come week 4 or 5 than Ethan Strange.
Fair.
So I'm Josh, looking at it from a sense of like, if it goes well, then fantastic, because I can probably do a Tua Picky to him. But if it doesn't go well, he doesn't get named, then I've got Tua Picky there, who won't be an AE, who I can move to someone who eventually pops up. Like, I just don't want to start with Strange and Tua Picky, and then by round 4, they're both not there. Like, you'd rather just have one of them. But like, if Ricky comes out and says like, oh yeah, sucks for the kid, he'll be back, he'll be in, or he says something like, oh, he's putting pressure on Weeks, then, we can have that discussion. But until Ricky changes his ways, I will just play it by ear.
Yep.
Do you think if he gets a 2-week suspension, we can ask the NRL to use Vegas as one of the weeks?
Oh,
yes.
I'd love that. Logical. Very logical, considering they're not going to play there at all. Yeah, but we can try. Ian Johnson is asking Laybutt or Taylor May. It's Taylor May by a country mile. I understand that...
Tyrell May, maybe?
Oh, I mean, he's comparing centers, so I'm assuming it's Taylor May.
It'll be Talon.
Yeah.
Laybutt, because I know he went well today. He scored a 81 today, so was impressive. Kyle Felt, was carving up on that side of the field. Kyle Felt had 109 points, and if you're letting Kyle Felt score 109 points, you need to Have a long, hard look at yourself.
But they are
I think
high
if
on
you look-
Labour.
I think if you're looking for pods, like Labor isn't very well owned. I think if you're looking for pods, it's not going to be in a mid price from the Panthers that we've seen touch, like, I don't know, what, 650K a couple years ago, like nearly 700K. Like, if I'm looking for pods, it's not in Labor over a May. It's Labor over somebody else.
Yeah, it is. And can I just, I had a little bit of a mini rant today to the Inside Unlimited guys, and it was more centered around people just looking for pods for the sake of looking for a pod. Like, you're going to go Labour, tailor-made a Labour just because Taylor May's well owned is just moronic. You know, the guy's well owned and these players are well owned for good reason. So, yeah, you've just got to follow the crowd for the majority of these good picks because they are good picks.
The point of a pod is to make up ground. And a pod only works if it outscores the player. Like if you think that Labour matches Talon May, there is only downside for you. Because if May pops off and Labour doesn't, you are screwed. Like I obviously avid FPL player. They use a stat called effective ownership, which is the percentage of owners around your rank that have a player. And anything, around 100% is bad. So picking a pod for the sake of, like, if you play Supercoach purely for vibes, purely for fun, of course, do whatever you want. But if you're playing to, like, have a good rank and use that as, like, a medal on your chest to pin it on, like, the template's boring. We all have the same, out of our 25 players, we probably all have the same 12, 13.
I was going to say close to 15.
I would say for the serious Supercoach group and the guys that are watching a trial recap, I assume a lot of you guys are serious. Out of 25 players, I would say maybe 60 are relevant. And going out of that just for the sake of trying to be cool, it's never going to end well, especially
a disaster.
Especially at the start of the season. Like, different when we're round 15, round 16, and when you're trying to make up ranks. But at the start of the season, just try and build a foundation. Content creators don't pick everything right, but there's a reason why a lot of us have the same players, is because we all sort of look at the game in that way. We feel like a lot of these players will make money, and going against that for the sake of either one, trying to prove a point, or two, just to be different, never works.
Nope.
It's like I see it on Twitter. I don't know about you boys, but I see it on Twitter all the time. And people are like, oh no, why is everyone picking my player? Or, oh, I sold him because his ownership's now too high. Like, it's not a good reason to sell a player.
I saw someone say that about
you're on the
Hammer.
right track.
Like I was actually hoping Hammer would be a pod, because that was something outside of looking at any teams. That was just something looking at the draw and going, I'm going that guy. But when you see 18% of people, you're like, oh, well, at least if it doesn't go real well, I've got 20% of people around me.
But also, just remember that 20% still means that 80% of players don't have him. Just because they're 20% owned doesn't mean that they're not a pod anymore. There's still plenty of players that don't. Dylan Hardy's asking Curran or Salmon. Well, I mean, price dependent. They're very different prices. There's 150K between them. But now with the lack of cheapies, is it salmon season? Is it the fish? Is it his time to shine?
This drastically depends on 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. If we open the app and see Josh Curran's got a nice little FRF in front of his name, changes a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Josh
as it
stands at front row forward.
Yeah, as it stands now, it's the salmon.
Yeah, and centre wing is very valuable to have a guy that's going to play at lock. No, not at all. But if he's going to start in the 13 jersey, you can play him in the centre wing. That's ideal for Supercoach. Let me just quickly check the live chat before we wrap this one up. Isaiah Yo is a pod. I mean, he's great today, but fuck, he's expensive for a reason.
At value.
Yeah, that's right. You pay what you get. Matty G's asking us Wally Lewis or Alan Langer. I mean, it's got to be Wally.
Yeah, he's got better base.
beers per minute instead of ppm. It's just beers per minute.
That's it. I mean, do you? Sorry, Josh. Before we wrap this one up, do you want to explain your Finafuiaki take on not making the 17? A couple of questions around people thinking he might. They ran 2 props in a second rower last year.
Yeah, that was also Lukey coming off an injury. I just think with the full preseason, they run Nana and Lukey, and then maybe like a McIntyre that can potentially cover in the back row if need be. We saw Ruben Cotter play in the back row for Origin, if need be. I wouldn't be surprised if Fuiaki named. I think he's a really good player, but it wouldn't shock me if he wasn't named on the bench this week. Sorry, next week.
And last one for Mattrix, is Corey Oates an option? 42 average with no tries last year. We know you're a big Oates fan.
Yeah, I am. And I just think as he ages a little bit, I do think maybe he starts the year a little rough and we do get him even cheaper again. We do have players breathing down his neck as well. I know for a fact that he took a big pay cut to sort of stay in Brisbane, whereas he probably could have went elsewhere. Either he's backing himself or this is just where he wants to be and this is where he sees his career sort of, coming to an end. I think he's 33. That's pretty old for a winger. But look, yeah, I don't hate it. I just think if I'm spending $450K, it's not really on Corey Oates. I'm sort of going a heap of cheapies and some guys more than 500K. But I don't hate it. Like, Corey Oates is still really good. He's still prone to an error. He's always going to be prone to an error. He's still going to be targeted a little bit with that high ball. But I think he could score some tries this year, which he didn't last year.
Can I just say as well, for you Step Brothers fans out there, I don't know anybody who doesn't like that movie, but why have I not seen a team name for Supercoach called Oates and Hose? Because that is a really nice team name. Just want to throw
Uncle
that out
Kobe's
there.
Oates last year.
Oh yeah, you were too. Was that your draft team or your normal?
Yeah, that was my
classic
draft team. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm more of a.
Can you guys tell us?
I'm a Fallen Oates fan myself.
So,
nice.
so that you guys. So I know that the chat's sort of finishing, but can you guys let people know your team name maybe, or are we just
pain in my heart for getting banned from the channel?
Yeah, it's pain in my heart. Yeah, that's mine.
You'll get banned.
It's natural selection. How to get banned in before round one.
And if you pick 4 and 20 pies, you're on a 30-day ban. Pain in my heart, permanent ban. 4 and 20 pies, 30-day ban.
I've seen a few bench balls floating around. Yeah, bench ball is very popular out there.
Oh, bench ball's good. Bench ball's good.
Yeah.
I need to pick a good one because right now it's Maxwell's Maniacs and he's not in my team, so I need to come up with a new one.
That's fair.
I've gone with cult heroes the last couple of years. I mean, it was the Eisenhows when I first started. Then it was the Ramsey Resurgence, and then it was the Elliott Emergence. I'm gonna need a cult hero.
You had the Ramsey Rehabs there as well, didn't you?
Yeah, the Ramsey Rehab. Ramsey Rehabs was last year. I think the Rehab's dead and gone, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What about the Fiddler on the Roof?
Oh,
yeah.
Or the Mean Fiddler. Yeah, that seemed to be a popular place. Yeah.
Paying homage.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, that'll do us. That brings us to the end, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not done that yet. We would appreciate that. We've got one more positional pod to come. We've got fullbacks, but we'll be live before then to do a full TLT breakdown. That's going to be interesting. But
a full TLT breakdown, all of 4 teams.
Yeah, all 4 teams. We're going to go in depth. But no, it's going to be good. Guys, if you're watching this on delay as well and you've got questions and you want them answered, drop them in the comments, or better yet, join the Discord. Become an Insight Unlimited member, only $25 for the full year. You get all 4 sports access, and you can ask us anything. You'll see our final teams as well once, obviously, TLT drops. We'll keep everything in there as well. And join the Insight SC World Cup as well if you want to take on and be the best in the world at Supercoach. Otherwise, that'll do us. We'll see you on Tuesday night for another one. Until then, you've been listening to the Insight NRL show. Catch you later.
Cheerio.